Alright, Algebra 1, here we go. Chapter 8-9 review. We got to move through this quickly because we've only got a few minutes to get through all of this. Alright, so number 1, if you have 3 terms, set up your box. First coefficient times the constant gives us negative 18. Okay, what are the factors of negative 18? That add up to positive 3. Well, we've got 2 and 9. 2 times 9. 6 and 3. 6 and 3 are 3 apart. So if 3 is negative, then, and it doesn't matter what box it goes into. So if 3 is negative, it makes that positive 3. Factor out D here. Factor out a 6, positive 6. Factor out D there. Negative 3. So the factors are D plus 6. Times D minus 3. Notice this said to factor, not to solve. So that's your answer right here. Okay, on number 2, we have 4 terms. So we could combine these 2 middle terms and factor it as a trinomial or factor by grouping. Here I can factor out a 3y. If I divide them each by 3y, I get 4y plus 3. And then over here I can factor out a 2, so plus 2, and then that leaves me with 4y plus 3. Notice the parentheses say the same thing, so we're going to factor out the parentheses, 4y plus 3, and that leaves me with 3y plus 2. And that's your answer. Number 3, I can factor out an 8c. For number 3. That leaves me with c squared minus 1. Now this is a difference of squared, so 8c stays factored out, and then we have c minus 1 times c plus 1. Number 4, we have a trinomial, so we're going to use the box method. Okay, so here I have the box set up, first and last term, and then the factors. Gives me negative 30, because I have to multiply 15 times negative 2, and then factors of that. Now I want some that are 7 apart. Okay, 3 and 10 are 7 apart, needs to be positive 7, so the 3 is going to be negative. Negative 3m, don't forget your variable, 10m here. That gives me 2m. Negative 1m there. 3 between these two, and 5m right here. Sorry, 3m here. Now you can always check back. 3m times 5m, 15m. 2m times 10m. Okay, there shouldn't be an m here. Okay, see? Check back. Make sure you're not making mistakes like that. And then we have... And when I was writing this out, I noticed right here, same mistake. This shouldn't be 5m minus 1m, because that would just simplify down to 4m. There's no m. The 2 doesn't have an m. Okay, so that's number 4. Number 5, box again. And boom, there it is. Negative 30, the factors negative 6 and 5 would give me negative 1 there. So negative 6k and 5k. Okay, here I have 2k in common. Here I have 5k. This gives me negative 3 between the 2, and here I just have 1. So my solution, and then we check it when we multiply. Alright, looks good. So 2k plus 1 times 5k minus 3. That is factored. Number 6, another trinomial. So I set up my box, first term, last term, multiply them. What are my factors of 20? 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 5 and 4. Okay, which one of these are 3 apart? None of these are 3 apart. So this is prime. I'm only going to write that when factoring. Remember, when solving, we could use the quadratic equation. Alright, these say to solve. Okay, so we can solve these any way. Remember, we want to make it equal 0. So I'm going to subtract the 21. Subtract 21, bring that over here. So I'll have b squared minus 4b is equal to negative 21. That's a little sloppy. Okay, there we go. So b squared minus 4b minus 21 is equal to 0. Brought that over here. Now we have a trinomial that we can factor. This time Zach gives me negative 21. What are the factors of negative 21? We have 3 and 7, 1 and 21. I need them to be negative to add to negative 4, so that 7 is going to be negative. So those are my factors, and then I set up my box. Okay, when you set up that box, I know many times you're tempted to just write 3 and negative 7, because those are the factors we found here. Technically, this is 21x, or b squared here, so that has a b, and this has a b, right? So don't forget that b there. Then we get the factor b between these two, negative 7 here, b between those two, and 3. So b minus 7 times b plus 3. Now this didn't just say to factor the set to solve. So either this is 0 or this one's 0. I'm going to speed solve this one for you because it's easy. 7 and negative 3, right? So those are my answers for number 7. Number 8. Remember, you want this to equal 0. So I subtract 8 from each side, and that makes this equal 0. So now I have my trinomial. First term in top left, last term bottom right. Okay, and then 2 times negative 15 gives me negative 30. The factors of that are 6 and 5, and they need to be only one apart, and we want positive 1. So the 5 is going to be negative. That leaves me with positive 1. 6m and negative 5m gives me negative 5 here, 2m there. Here we have m, and then this one is a 3. 3 times 2m gives me 6m. Negative 5 times 3 gives me negative 15. So I have 2m minus 5, and then m plus 3. This needs to equal 0. So I make each one of these 0. So when is this one 0? Well, when that's negative 3. When is this one 0? I have to add 5, so plus 5, and then I have to divide by 2, divided by 2. So these are my two solutions, negative 3 and 5 over 2. Alright. Okay, on number 9, you're supposed to graph this. There are several ways you can graph that. One of the ways is a table. There's already a table provided for you here. You can fill that in, but you're going to be graded on your graph. So make sure you know how to graph it. I'm pretty sure you know how to fill in a table. Then graph all these points. Okay, so these are all those points that we found in the table, and then you can make a smooth line through those points to graph that. Notice we didn't, oh, this is a terrible line. We'll try that one again. Okay, there, that's a little bit better. Notice we didn't actually find the vertex here, because here we have negative 2 and negative 2, but on each side of it, the numbers are mirrored. You could go ahead and find the vertex. You can do it that way. You can find solutions. It doesn't matter. Either way you want to graph it. Number 10, same scenario. This is what it looks like. Okay, so this is just a matter of plugging in some values and then graphing. Make sure it's smooth. Make sure you have those values. I'm going to be looking for the axis of symmetry being in the right place, your vertex being pretty much in the right place. And you can see that this one's going to open downwards because of the negative sign there. All right. Here we have a trinomial. We want to know what are the coordinates of the vertex. First thing we have to do is find the axis of symmetry. X equals negative b over 2a. Well, b is 4, so negative 4 over 2 times 1. And that comes out to be negative 2. That's the x value. Now we put negative 2 in for it. So plug that in here, and that gives us negative 16. So our vertex is negative 2 and negative 16. We're going to need this a little bit later on. Next, number 12. What are the zeros of the function? That means solve this and find what values would make this, what values for x make this 0. So we make a box because it's a trinomial. Negative 12, what multiplies to negative 12 and gives me positive 4? Well, I have 2 times 6, those are 4 apart, and we want positive 4, so I'll make the 2 negative. Negative 2x and 6x. Here we have 6. X right here, negative 2 there. Check it quickly. 6 and negative 2, x times 2. Correct. Okay. So x plus 6 times x minus 2 equals 0. This one is 0 if it's negative 6. This one is 0 if it's positive 2. So my zeros are negative 6 and positive 2. What's the y-intercept of the function? That's when x is 0. That means it is 12. Negative 12. And what is the range? For the range, we need to determine, does this open up or down? This is positive. So positive means y is going to be greater than or equal, because positive opens upwards like this. And then we need the vertex. The vertex, this right here, is at negative 16. So negative 16, just like that. Okay, what's the value of the discriminant? Discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. Not the square root of that, just what's underneath the square root. So that's going to be negative 12 is b squared minus 4 times a is 1 and c is 18. Work that out. Okay, wait, stop. A is 2, not 1, so we'll put a 2 there. And then calculate that. That is 0. So how many solutions does the function have? If this is 0, it has 1 solution. Use the quadratic formula to find the zeros. Here we go. X equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Boom. Fill that in. Okay, so here it is filled in, but we already know what the discriminant is. That's 0, so that comes out to be 0, so all we have to do is 12 divided by 4, and that gives us a 0 of 3. Okay, one of the zeros or solutions is 3. The only solution, is 3. And that's all the fun we're going to have with this one. For the answers on the multiple choice section, go ahead and check back on my website.